a wonderful place existed.
The Athenians called it
The Acropolis.
free expression, ethics, art, philosophy. The Acropolis heralded the democracy. But if I told you the Acropolis has returned. Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis. The Acropolis.
Hillary Clinton is a literal meme. My name is Trevor Brown, and you're watching The Trevor Report. All right, welcome back to The Trevor Report. Let us begin with segment one, and before we get started with that, I'd just like to plug the very first episode of the American Gracchus podcast. This is the one Latin word right here. Gracchus, that's how you pronounce it, because people have been having trouble with it. It is a premium podcast over on theacropolisnews.com, and it is the first one, which means it's free. And what I'm going to be talking about right here, something that's very relevant to the final segment of this, is leftist value dimensions. But before I guess really bring that into it, okay, there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans. Now, don't get me wrong. I hate the vast majority of Republicans. I think they're basically just wolves in sheep's clothing, as it were. The term rhino, you know, if you're familiar with it, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you are. And then there are a few others. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, because this is a true statement, neocons and neolibs are the exact same. It's the exact same philosophy, just with different names. And the Republican Party is filled with neocons, but occasionally you get actual conservatism woven in. Now, I'm not a conservative. I'm, I guess, what you would call a classical liberal. I'm very much in the sort of Lockean tradition, as it were, but I'm sort of recognizing the more parochial and, I guess, intuitive nature of things. I guess I'm not explaining that very well, but to be fair, I am in a hurry to get this done because I'm getting a bunch of other things rolling out. So basically, the governor of Oklahoma signed a bill to make abortion illegal, which is the conservative thing to do. Wow, I can't believe this conservative just did a conservative thing. Oh my God. Wow. Much shock, much surprise. Yeah, no, it's obviously not. But anyway, I'd just like to kind of contrast that. Now, the governor of Oklahoma could very well just be a neocon, and he's just doing this to save face. And if that's true, you're a terrible person, governor of Oklahoma. But if you're not, then you're a good person, governor of Oklahoma. Anyway, so Beto ORourke is basically the Uvalde shooter. Basically went off about how Republicans are blah, 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 like the racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, fascist, sexist, oppressive, blah, 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 blah. And he did that interrupting Greg Abbott, and it's like, there's nothing for like, this is nonsense, and he's doing it purely of his own ego. And it's the exact same reason that Barack Obama, is going like, he went off about George Floyd. So a Mexican man shot a bunch of Mexicans because white supremacy it's okay, whatever. The thing is, George Floyd is basically a sort of Jesus-like figure for the pseudo-benevolent insurrectionary race radical, which Obama is certainly a member of that party, as it were. But like him making this comment is for his own ego. Beto O'Rourke, who will never win an election in Texas because, well, no one wants to vote for him. He's he's doing this, interrupting his thing for his own ego. They don't actually care about mass shootings, believe it or not. If they did, they'd be for giving teachers firearms training so that they can defend students when this happens. And if they also cared about mass shootings, they would also dive in. If they truly cared, they would go into why people engage in mass shootings. They would investigate it, and they would discover that the family in the United States is broken, and there is a large drug consumption culture in this country, be it legal drugs or illegal drugs, be it controlled substances or illicit substances, right? And they would be like, legalize all drugs, but you should blah 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 blah. Okay, when it comes to leftist value dimensions, particularly if you're a leftist and you overvalue the care and fairness thing, we went over basically Jonathan Haidt's value dimensions in this podcast through an essay about politics and cultural colonization through the lens of Warhammer 40K. It was a very cool segment, and I highly recommend you check that out. But it's just one of those things where if you are very high in the care and fairness foundation, what you would do is you would be like, wow, this kid was bullied, and this kid was bullied like with his terrible economic situation. Help this. We need to help people instead of blah 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 blah. And then you can take the sort of right-wing parochial sense of community and things like that, and then you can take and you can synthesize it with leftist values of care and fairness, and then put it together, and then through a democratized process, or just even a cultural process, which conservatives would be much more in favor of, you would then end up helping kids and reducing the amount of mass shootings, which should be the goal. But if they would rather inflate their own egos, and in Beto O'Rourke's own words, doing nothing, if they like to be the people who are doing nothing, fine, so be it. But I'd rather just replace the establishment Dems and establishment Republicans with non-establishment Dems and establishment Republicans, which seems to be what Georgia wants to do. Bad night for Trump. Kemp Raffensperger wins Georgia primaries. Books in L.A. runoff live updates. Now Kemp won, but he won barely. It was by no means a landslide in Marjorie Taylor Greene's case, which we'll get into in a second. Now this is Brian Kempf and Raffensperger, you guys suck. You're just neocons and neolibs. Exactly the same people, by the way, as I've already said. Data shows thousands of Democrats voting in GOP primary. It's about 7%, and well, that's thousands of people voting in the GOP primary. Now, they seem to have voted, particularly with Georgia's 14th district. Marjorie Taylor Greene wins GOP primary in Georgia. There is a populist reformation happening in the Republican Party, because the Republican Party, being essentially the party of Lockean values, is very well open to populist reformation. The neocons and neolibs, which is basically just socialism going the speed limit that has colonized the Republican Party. They can have their issues with it, and that's fine. But it seems that the national populists and the classical liberals have created a nice coalition that makes the Republican Party principally Republican. Which, oh my God, oh no. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the next segment. But before we get into that, I would just like to point out, chilling the premium version of this podcast, where basically I went over a German pedophilia experiment that took place in a state-funded orphanage in Berlin, Germany, and how Amazon allowed a pro-pedophile clothing line. And if you want to watch this, I don't know why you would, but if you want to be thorough, I went over a bit of queer theory. I provided some things, and basically Jay Farmer over on Uncommon Conversations is a member of the Acropolis affiliate program. And then Senior Filth over at Sonic Boom Studios. That's sort of his pseudonym. He shows his face, but he gives a pseudonym, which, okay, fine, whatever. But he's a part of the Acropolis affiliate program. You may have seen it over on the acropolisnews.com, the Critical Introverts podcast. And then me, because, This Just Trevor, the Trevor Report, is technically a part of the Acropolis affiliate program. So, what can you do? But this might help add some extra context as to why the left is full on groomer. Now, here's the thing. My solution to this is whenever this happens to just kind of go, okay, groomer, whatever you say, groomer. That's basically my response to this. Queering elementary education, a queer curriculum for 4th grade. Now, I'd just like to point out that up until 5 minutes ago, queer was a slur. But now it means pedophile. Anyway, let's continue. Non-binary second grade teacher says he came out as trans to his students and says they don't understand what that means, so he explained it to them. He had a conversation with a bunch of second graders, meaning 8-year-olds. He had a conversation with seven. He had a conversation with a bunch of 7 and 8-year-olds about his sexuality, in secret, without informing the parents. This would be a violation of Florida's anti-groomer law if he was, Florida. But as you could see, based on how his eyes are and his eye movements and his nose ring, the 3-inch bags under his eyes, he's clearly a very happy person. He's clearly a very happy and alert person. Very, very clearly. Anyway, uterus-shaped cereal aims to normalize conversations about periods at the breakfast table. Okay, groomer. Whatever you say, groomer. Anyway, so it just works. Ankeny High School brought in drag queens to perform for students during school. The drag queens also spoke to students about gender identity and expression. So anyway, this guy engaging in queer theory praxis is doing a striptease and spreading his legs and shaking his butt in front of a bunch of children. Okay, groomer. Whatever you say, groomer. That's just the response to this. It's the only proper response to this. That's just the way it is, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Like, you don't have strippers in high school. Don't do that. Don't have grown men spread their legs in front of minors. Don't do that. Don't violate the age of consent, you disgusting people. Anyway, so I'm going to move on to the next segment, but before we get into that, a quick word from this segment's sponsor. This segment of the Trevor Report is sponsored by NordVPN. Click the affiliate link down below in the description in order to experience all of NordVPN's wide-ranging offers that help protect you and your internet privacy at an affordable price. Anyway, now that we are back, Bill Gates paid millions to derail Elon Musk's plans. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has poured hundreds of millions of dollars into 11 of the 26 organizations backing an effort to prevent billionaire Elon Musk from taking over the social media platform Twitter, according to data shared with Breitbart by the Foundation for Freedom Online. Among the 11 Gates-backed organizations reportedly spearheading the effort to sandbag Musk's Twitter acquisition by pressuring advertisers to boycott the platform is the New Venture Fund, a dark money organization that in 2020 received the largest one-year commitment from the foundation has made in over 5 years. The group funds the Center for Media Justice, the Media Democracy Fund. Remember when agents of neocolonialism and the neocon neolib global Western Uniparty, when they say the word democracy, when they say our democracy, what they mean is oligarchy. Anyway, the National Hispanic Media Coalition and Accountable Tech, all of which signed the open letter backing the advertiser boycott, and has received some 102 separate cash grants from Gates's foundation since 2008, amounting to $457 million. The Tides Foundation, another dark money group heavily backed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, funds another 5 signatories: Free Press, Indivisible, NARAL, Pro-Choice America, Media Matters, and Buy Large Mansions Global Network. While the Gates-backed Community Partners funds a signatory empowering the correct nationality community, and the Bill Gates-backed Neo-Philanthropy is linked to signatory Reproaction. The software tycoon turned self-styled pandemic expert has also been a major proponent of censorship during the COVID-19 pandemic. Blah, 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 blah. You get the point. But here's the thing, and I believe I've talked about this before, but it was a few weeks ago. Either way, all previous Trevor reports linked down below in the description. But Bill Gates says shorting Tesla isn't hurting the environment, according to Bloomberg. Bill Gates is shorting Tesla. So when he puts hundreds of millions of dollars into smearing the CEO of the company whose stock he is shorting, this is called corruption. This is called evil. This is called, if literally anyone else did this, who had the incorrect politics, they would be targeted. They would have targeted harassment campaigns to deprive them from equal access to the public square. They would have the FBI, CIA, every single 3-letter organization in the United States would also participate in those targeted harassment campaigns. But because Bill Gates has the correct politics and has engaged in enough neocon, neolib, uniparty colonization, he's fine. He's completely okay. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. Because as Barack Obama once put it, too big to fail. Anyway, let us continue. Writer plagiarized in book by Hillary Clinton's spiritual advisor says this, quote, crosses an ethical line. Now, this is a thing from 2017. I know nothing about this. What I do know okay, is that Hillary Clinton's pastor is named Reverend Bill Shady. Okay? Hillary Clinton's lawyer is named Shill. Shill Bill. Hillary Clinton's lawyer, shills for Bill and Hillary Clinton. Rolls right off the tongue. And it rolls right off the tongue because Hillary Clinton is a literal meme. She is a literal meme in every sense of the word. Ex-Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook. Anyway, headline says busy day in Sussman. Okay, Sussman is a sus man. Mook. Sus man. Shill. Hillary Clinton is a literal meme, and like Clinton is basically synonymous with killing people who are inconvenient for you. You know, a lot of victims of unfortunate train and bus accidents. But don't tell anyone that I'm the one who talked about that, because there's a good chance that if you look into it, you might be added to that list. But anyway, in the meantime, my name is Trevor Brown, and you just watched the Trevor Report. Do click the Linktree that I was forced to make down below in the description, because Linktree banned my Linktree for opposing black nationalism. So I've made my new one down below in the description. This video is sponsored by Acropolis News Network, the world's first fully independent media organization that is powered by Liberty platforms, peer-to-peer advertising, and cryptocurrency. On Acropolis News Network, we have a different standard of journalism. We allow anonymous reporting like Project Veritas. We also have a few anonymous reporters. I'm not going to say how many of them there are, and I'm not going to say who they are because they're, anonymous. But more importantly, if you subscribe to a membership subscription onto Acropolis News Network, not only will you get access to a ton of premium content that'll be coming out very soon, and a bunch of premium content that's already available on the site right now, you will also help fund our fully independent journalism and our academic contributions to society. If you do so, I would greatly appreciate it. You can also click the donate button over on any of the Acropolis News posts. I, as the chief editor, would greatly appreciate it because, well, it helps us stay independent, like I said, and that's part of our brand. And if you would like that to stay as a part of our brand, well, I would greatly appreciate it.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.
All of you brilliant viewers out there, my name is Trevor Brown. I am the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network because I can give myself whatever name and title I want because I own it. You could go to theacropolisnews.com, or you could go to ThisJustTrevor on whatever Liberty platform is your choice. Except for the ones I'm not on because I haven't seen them pretty much.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.